Malaysia Tzu Chi volunteers provide financial and emotional support to a care recipient family. Doctors give advices of the correct method for parents to take care of children who has a fever. Welcome to that headlines. I'm Maggie Tai. Thank you for joining us. In Malaysia, Tzu Chi care recipient 70-year-old Elizabeth and her husband were both seriously ill. They were not working and their finances and emotional health were in trouble. After learning about their situation, Tzu Chi volunteers provided them financial support, and one of them also encouraged Elizabeth to open her heart.
We are a woman, although we have had breast cancer and our bodies have been partially cut, but I think our hearts are still perfect. For women, the imperfection that they draw on is the physical defects, but true beauty lies within.
My name is Elizabeth. I'm 71 years old.
In this house, any family member?
No, I and my husband staying here. No, no children. I got no children. That time my husband go cari makan, a little bit money. Now these 2 years, nothing. Cannot walk, he's got a mild stroke. His memory also lost now. He won't take medicine. I give him because after he take, then a second time also he can take. He doesn't know. Yeah, before I working as a housemaid. Later, when I operation, after that I'm not working. I cannot work. Breast cancer. I don't know what happened. I cannot. I never think also. I cannot think also what happened going to be.
She really has financial problems and has no income at all and doesn't know where the money to pay for living and medical expenses will come from.
Hi. Hello. How are you?
Hi, thank you.
So Tzu Chi subsidizes her living expense because she needs to pay for rent and food. And also she had to pay transportation to the hospital. She is very quiet and will speak only when spoken to. She doesn't talk a lot and chucks away many of her problems in her heart. Actually, I got breast cancer on the right side, and so did she. I have personally experienced the suffering, although the technology is advanced and the hospital equipment is great. The patients still need someone to care about them. The relationship between people cannot be compared with the machine and the technology.
I feel, somebody must telling me, don't worry, like my husband was next to me telling, don't worry. So I'm a little bit happy, They're close to me and then they talk to me and then they're going to help me. So I believe that and I close to them.
I have always encouraged her. I ask her to come out and take her to various activities.
Yeah, exercise only. I'm doing everything. I go home, no tired, but just do.
In our next report, we will meet a Thai mother in Malaysia. Tzu Chi used to feel lost because she felt that she was trapped in the duties of housewife. Fortunately, after becoming a Thai mother, she broadened the scope of her life and hoped to make an impact in more people's lives.
These plastics are from the land. Fish will not use these plastic bags.
Speaking in front of the public is a breakthrough for Tzu Chi, who has stepped out of her comfort zone as a housewife.
I discovered my function and I saw my value. Having the courage to speak in public has been my biggest growth. I'm willing to share my experiences so more people will become aware.
Being trapped in a housewife's duties, she once felt that she was like a spinning top, losing her direction.
Since my life circle was very small, I magnify every little problem. In addition, I have to face my in-laws. I felt that I was just waiting for it to get dark every day and cooking dinner. I was repeating the same life routine every day.
My mom was really busy. She felt emotional and accumulated pressure. She seemed to be feeling low. From looking at her eyes, one can tell she felt sad.
Joining Dying Mothers in 2013, Tan Shosho started to go to schools to promote recycling and humanistic education. Despite this, she's still worried about her duties to her family. Finally, her health deteriorated.
There was blood clotting in my cerebral blood vessels, so I underwent a surgery. I questioned myself. Besides serving my family, I did not do anything meaningful. Therefore, I told myself, if I can recover, I'll definitely do more.
She is the main character when we perform sign language songs and plays and carry out activities. She really cooperates with the team. For the past years, when we ask her to join some activities, she always says she can do it.
Being willing to give of herself, Tan has broadened her horizons. She is now willing to make an impact in many people's lives.
In Malaysia, Tzu Chi volunteers provide scholarships to impoverished but worthy students and help them pursue their dreams. At a Chinese primary school in Pontian, 114 students received scholarships this year. One of them was Marisa. Although she is Malay, she has attended Chinese school from an early age because her mother insists on education and hopes that she will grow up with love in her heart.
Tzu Chi volunteers held the scholarship distributions at Chinese primary school in Pontian. A 5th grade scholarship recipient, Malaysia grows up in a single-parent family and understands her mother's difficulties.
I use this money to buy important things because my mother has a hard time supporting the family.
I hope that my children and I will be able to help others in the future, because when I encounter difficult times these days, others come to help me. I hope that one day my children and I can give to others.
Coming from a Malay family, Malaysia is the youngest child. Her 3 siblings also attend Chinese school. She likes to learn, and her teacher is proud of her.
Marisa is my 5M student this year, and she has made the most progress. She gets along well with the classmates. She can communicate with them in Mandarin.
Marisa ni seorang budak yang bagus lah.
She's a very good child. She participated in the Korean reading contest at the beginning of the year. Although she did not win, I'm extremely proud of her performance.
Walaupun tak dapat hadiah, tapi saya sangat bangga dengan dia lah.
In Chinese primary school, Malay children like Melissa are a minority, but she gets along well with others and likes to help others.
如果老师选她上台去
If the teacher chose her to participate in the speech contest, she will bravely take to the stage.
很害羞，就勇敢的上台。她比较乐意帮助人。
She's more willing to help others, she always cooperates with others, and she brings whatever materials we need in the activity.
带材料。
Thanks to Tzu Chi's help, Malaysia's pursuit of education has become a smooth path. She has a broad vision which will lay a solid foundation for the future of the whole family.
At Wuri, Taichung volunteer Lin Chenle passed on the lessons of virtue to his son. His son was once a seafood wholesaler who had many bad habits, but has changed after seeing his father's volunteering effort at the recycling station for 15 years.
In order to gain profit from my business, I used to employ many dirty tricks. Most people only did bad things in certain areas, but I was bad in everything.
Lin Yongchen was once a seafood wholesaler at the Shiluo fruit and vegetable market. He claimed that he was a bad guy who did all kinds of dirty tricks until his mother got sick, which made him stop to think about the meaning of life.
It was the turning point for me when I found out my mother had cancer, so I tried to figure out what I could do for her.
His mother's illness helped facilitate change. Lin Yongchen decided to quit his bad habits and moved back to be with his father.
I now cut all my dad's hair.
Lin Yongchen's father, Lin Chenle, is now 87 years old, who have been volunteering in a local recycling station at Uri area for 15 years. Everyone calls him Brother Ale.
He donated his land to us for building the recycling station, and he has been volunteering since more than a decade and will continue to volunteer with us.
He donated his land for building the recycling station, providing some space for volunteers to sort recyclables. The recycling station helps the senior to not dwell on the loss of his wife.
I always go check the station every morning. Whenever I see things are messy, I would help organize them. This helps me count my blessings in life.
The father passed on the lesson of virtue to his son, guiding him to get back on track with his actions. And the son followed his father's footsteps, practicing filial piety, becoming a better person.
According to the doctor's standard, a body's temperature needs to be cooled only when it reaches 39 degrees. Children are susceptible to colds and illnesses, with many parents giving fever medication as soon as their children have a fever. Some also use incorrect methods to treat such problems. A fever is actually part of the body's immune system, and here are some correct treatment methods.
When a child has a cold and his temperature rises above 38 degrees, parents' first reaction is usually trying to quickly reduce the fever.
We bathe the child in warm water and take anti-fever medication if it exceeds 38 degrees.
We use a fever compress and try to bathe him as much as possible.
Protein in the human body is destroyed at about 41 degrees. So basically, a fever below 41 degrees is not harmful to the human body.
According to the doctor's standard, children only have to take anti-fever medication when the fever exceeds 39 degrees, since fever can actually activate their immune system.
The reason why the child has the fever is because he has to increase his metabolic rate and kill viral bacteria in the body. When the metabolic rate is fast, you will be faster in dealing with these things.
When you have a fever, the human body is like a smart machine. In order to maintain the high temperature to increase metabolism, blood will flow back to the center and the temperature of the trunk and limbs will decrease.
One should remember to keep extremities like hands and feet warm. These places need to be covered a little more, and the core of the body needs to dissipate heat.
Physically reducing fevers, such as warm bath or wet towel wiping, is the correct way to deal with fever. But if the child has convulsions or heart and anemia problems, the doctor recommends taking oral anti-fever medication at 38 degrees. Since 2007, special medicines for children have appeared. Not only do they reduce fever, but also syrups and chewable tablets are specially designed for children.
During the milling process, the dose may be inaccurate or the risk of contamination for children's medicine may occur. So it is designed to be consumed like this.
This packaging also reduces the problems of cross-contamination and preventing moisture from affecting the efficacy of medicines. From the concept of fever reduction in children, parents must keep watch of their children and give them the most accurate care.
The elementary department of the Tzu Chi Senior High, affiliated with Tzu Chi University, recently took a field trip to visit the Indigenous Culture Museum at Tzu Chi University of Science and Technology. The field trip was conducted entirely in English to help expose the children to the language as well as the culture.
Can you tell what color you can see right here and over there? White. Yes, that's a great answer.
Visiting an indigenous museum, these students are listening to an English docent and interacting with her in the same language, as they have been learning in a bilingual environment since young.
Do you have a smile now?
No matter what country you live in, English is still considered a global language. I hope that they can learn to speak English in a natural environment and not be afraid of the language.
Not only in seeing the exhibits, the teachers also lead the students in braiding a head decoration often seen on indigenous people, while using English vocabulary so that the children may learn the words as well as getting to know the culture.
We'll find something they can relate to and take the cultural items which they're familiar with and use vocabulary which they have learned for the activity.
Learning a different language can help expand children's horizons, and through learning about a different culture, this field trip is not only educating the students about language, but also helps expose them to cultural differences and perhaps helping to safeguard native heritages.
Hunan Tzu Chi volunteers then left for the second year at the northern Shimen County, providing winter supplies for the farmers at Jiashan town. Since many residents have some levels of physical challenges, volunteers decided to visit their homes and care for them individually.
Before the sun rises, Tzu Chi volunteers have started their delivery mission at the end of the year.
We have rice, quilts, or warm clothes here. We also have cooking oil, underwear, and daily supplies. It's all here.
The New Year celebration is around the corner, and we are here to give them some blessings.
We plan to distribute these supplies by home delivery. Hunan volunteers from Changsha and Shimen area will deliver rice to 227 farmers' homes, providing them with winter supplies to celebrate a festive New Year.
Groups of volunteers split into 32 routes started their distribution mission together. A 70-year-old senior, Mr. Zhang, has mental challenge and has no daughter or son by his side. He lives with his niece family and often loses his temper. Thus, volunteers try to care for him.
Try to treat your niece better, okay? We give this new jacket to you so you can replace your old clothes now. Get changed. The weather's not warm anymore, okay?
Mr. Zhang seems confused, but when the volunteer leaves, he also expresses his gratitude. Shimen is the hometown for tangerines in Hunan. The tangerines are all over the village during the season, but the farmers still have poor living condition. Chao's family is one of them. They have been living in an old house for more than 40 years. Volunteers brought the New Year gifts, so this pair of sisters have some new clothes to wear. Volunteers' visit brought warmth to the quiet village. There are more and more touching moments coming up.
These volunteers not only give them these supplies but emotional support. I have little strength on my own, but if more people work together, we can make a difference.
Against the Wind Theater was selected into the Tzu Chi Foundation's second National Public Welfare Youth Project. This troupe is a place for at-risk youth, giving them a safe and comforting environment. The head of the troupe is Chen Wei-shen, who was also a rebellious child whose life changed after joining a drama club in high school. Now he is trying to give others direction in life.
For those that have lost their safety net, a mask can be like a protective umbrella for a high school dropout or at-risk youth. Have you heard their voices? On the stage, amateur actors play themselves. This is a touring performance by the Against the Wind troupe. Through drama, they hope that youth who have been abandoned by the society and once considered to be hopeless will find a new direction in life.
In the troupe, none of us will say that we are your teacher. Our identity is all the same. We are just companions. Your friends will accompany you through many problems you encounter in youth. Let's face it together instead of talking. We should do it together.
The troupe specializes in recruiting members at reformatories and care homes, bringing the at-risk teenagers to the troupe. They use the theater to let them feel a sense of belonging they never had before and reverse their course in life.
Teenage dropouts, from my perspective, are not a problem. They could be the elite in our society, as our current education system simply does not value them. I don't think they need to be judged. We should be more flexible, as our current system needs to incorporate more ideas so they can go higher and further in the future. In fact, these children, in my opinion, have no problems. We are going to change their system.
Currently, the Against the Wind theater troupe mainly applies for funding from government units and private enterprises and foundations to carry out its projects. This year, it has been selected grants by Tzu Chi's Youth Public Welfare Project. The head of the group, Chen Wei-sun, is only 22 years old this year. When he thought back upon his youth, he singled out and had a fight with others.
My friends didn't go to jail. They went to juvenile detention center and then went to the reformatory. After coming out of the reformatory, they went to adult prisons. Their lives continue in this cycle. Some people even ended their lives. I thought that if I continue to be with them, I would end up like them. We all desire freedom, but everything we do makes us unable to free ourselves.
He wanted to get back on track, but his parents didn't know this. He thought he had a special talent for acting, so he joined the drama club that year and started his own troupe in high school.
That was the first time I was accepted for the first time. I enjoyed the applause for the first time, and I was encouraged for the first time. So at that moment, I told myself one thing: since children like me can change, drama can be used to change my future, and I can change more young people like me. So at that time, I told myself that in the future, I will set up a theater company, the most special theater company in Taiwan, a theater company composed of at-risk youth.
His original intention was to create a drama troupe. In 2015, Chen Wei-sun found two friends who had similar checkered past and found the Against the Wind theater troupe. They worked hard to reverse fortunes of wayward children and even those that had been labeled, trying to prove their value to the rest of the world.
Portland Tzu Chi volunteers went to a rehabilitation center to celebrate Christmas with the patients. Take a look and goodbye.